Hi guys, welcome back. So a few days ago I received this DM on Instagram from someone asking me about how to find your identity back after self-harm, because they were feeling like all they had to themselves, to their identity, was self-harm, and they were really struggling with that. And I thought this was a very interesting topic, so I asked you guys on Instagram if you had ever felt this way, because I definitely did. And apparently this is a very common feeling, so I wanted to talk about that. When something is taking up such a huge part of your life, such a huge part of how you're feeling, what you're thinking about, how you're dealing with daily life, how you're behaving in your daily life, it can start to feel like it's becoming your identity. This is something that is very common in mental health issues, is that you start to feel like your issue is becoming part of your identity. And this is something that is very common, like I said, but it's often a feeling that is surrounded with shame, because we know this is not a very healthy way to look at it, and it's often something that is not really talked about, and this is something that can make stopping very difficult, because you feel like you're losing part of yourself, and this can be why some people don't want to stop self-harm. It's because you feel like you're losing part of yourself, part of your identity. This is something that is very scary. So then what I did is that I asked you guys on Instagram how you dealt with those feelings of losing your identity in self-harm, and how did you find it back after self-harm. And I thought you guys had some very good insight in that, so I wanted to share it today in the video because I thought it could be helpful for a lot of people to have that in video format. So that's what I'm going to do today. I have 6 points for today. They aren't mutually exclusive, it's more like point of views that you can take, and you can definitely combine them. You don't have to choose one and then not look at the others. It's really something that can help you think about it and help you go forward in your recovery. Of course, as always, I want to reiterate this is not a professional opinion. I am not a mental health professional. I am a student in social work, and I am someone that has spent a lot of time working with self-harmers and spending time with self-harmers online after having experienced self-harm myself. So do not take this as professional advice. The third thing that can be useful is doing things that you loved before self-harm, things that used to be part of your identity, things that used to be your passions that maybe you stopped doing when you started having mental health issues. This can be a way to find back your old identity, your old self, and feeling like you can be yourself again. Think about things you used to love to do as a kid or as a preteen or before you started self-harming, or people that you used to hang out with that you really liked spending time with, people that you could reconnect with, passions that you could reconnect with. This is something that can really help you find back that sense of identity behind self-harm and beyond self-harm. The second thing that can be helpful, that is kind of coming from the first point that I talked about, is that you can find new things that you enjoy, new passions. You can start to discover yourself, some new things about yourself that you maybe haven't seen from now, but that may help you find other purposes in life than self-harm. Something that came back a lot is, of course, art, sports, and all of that, but this may take trial and error. This can also be combined as a new coping skill for your self-harm urges, so that can be both a new coping skill and a new part of yourself or your identity, of things that you love to do, things that you spend your time doing. And again, that can also be new people that you start to associate with, new friends that you make. So the third point that may be useful is to realize that others probably don't tie your identity to self-harm. Realizing the identity that others give you can be a great way to change your own perspective on yourself. Seeing that others don't love you for your self-harm, they don't think of self-harm when they think of you, and they probably think about other things of your personality, can be a great way to change your own perspective. Chances are you're the only one that is associating self-harm with your identity, and realizing that and experiencing that through the eyes of others can be of great help. Of course, building your identity only on what others think about you is not a very healthy perspective either, but it can be a great way to then see things about yourself that you maybe didn't see before, and it can be a great way to change perspective, like I was saying. So you can ask around, ask your parents, ask your family, ask your close friends. What do they think about when they see you? What are your passions? And maybe you don't even see yourself because you're so blinded by all of the rest of the things that we're talking about today. The fourth perspective is that maybe you're not the same person that you used to be before self-harm, and that's okay. Who you are will evolve with time, and that's completely okay. You don't necessarily have to be 100% the same person that you were before self-harm. You're allowed to evolve, you're allowed to become a new person, or at least partially. That's completely okay. And that ties with the second point that I was talking about finding new things you love and building back a new identity. The fifth point is that finding your identity is a long process, and it does take time, and not putting pressure on yourself to figure it out right away is a huge point. A lot of people just say that it came with time, and that's not putting pressure on themselves to figure it out right away was a huge key to them. So give yourself time, and with recovery it probably will come gradually back too. You don't have to figure it out right away. It's normal to be lost from time to time. It's normal for it to take time too. Don't put too much pressure on yourself. And the sixth and last point that I resonate the most with is making self-harm recovery part of your identity instead of just self-harm. This is something I strongly resonate with because I feel this is a huge reason why I started self-harm problems. I felt like self-harm still needed to be part of my life somehow, but I decided to change it for the positive and use it to promote self-harm awareness and self-harm recovery. And this is something that has become a huge part of my life and of what I do. Changing your identity from self-harmer to recovering self-harmer or to self-harmer advocate is something that can be very, very powerful if that's something that you want to do. And in this way, self-harm can still be part of your story, of what you do, of your identity, but it becomes a force for good if you want. This is how I see it, and this is something that has been very, very helpful in my recovery. And if I had to guess, I haven't talked about that with any other mental health advocates, but I think this is what happens to a lot of us. We still need to have our mental health issues part of our life in some way, which doesn't sound very healthy, but we find a healthy way to do that by using recovery as part of it and by using our experience to help others. So that's it for today. I hope you liked this video. Like I said, if you have felt this way, please know you're not alone. You're definitely not alone. Even though this is something that is not talked about much, this is a very, very common and rational issue. It doesn't make you crazy. It's just something that you have to work through, and you can work through it. If you want to chat with me, you can hit me up on Instagram. Link is in the description. As always, I answer to every DM I get, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.